Hi, I'm Dan Woike. I'm the Lakers beat reporter at the Los Angeles Times, and today the Lakers still don't have a coach. The Lakers are coming off of a pretty big offer to two-time national champion UConn head coach Dan Hurley, and after 3 days or so of mulling it over, with people dissecting Billy Joel playlists to see if there were any Easter eggs in it, Dan Hurley today said no to the Lakers. He's going to stay at UConn, and the Lakers are going to have to find their coach somewhere else. It's been a strange coaching process, even before the last week, but this last week has been particularly crazy. The craziest part of this all was, as of last Wednesday, I hadn't heard anybody mention Dan Hurley's name. And I've been talking to a lot of people on this. It stayed close to Rob Pelinka's chest, and they couldn't get him. They pushed and they gave him the pitch, right? And it wasn't just here's 6 years, here's $70 million, which, by the way, pretty good pitch. It was, we believe in you as the bridge from our LeBron James era to whatever's next, for our franchise. That's why, the Lakers, and my sources told me, they were chasing. It was that particular belief. And so it's, I think, even doubly disappointing today, if you're the Lakers, because you talked yourself into this so much with Dan Hurley, to get rejected, just like the organization was 20 years ago by Mike Krzyzewski, just like they were by Jerry Tarkanian before that, and by countless other college coaches have with NBA teams throughout history. You get to the 5-yard line on this, and you think you're ready to go into the end zone, and you don't get it. So the Lakers have to regroup, and I think, to me, that is where the real interesting stuff is going to happen, because of how surprising the Dan Hurley pursuit was. What does that mean about the state of the process to that date? How serious were their interviews with James Borrego? JJ Redick was the name that we heard most. How serious was that? Does that get reignited? Did this flirtation with Dan Hurley burn any of those bridges? Did it allow Cleveland, which has an opening, to make a real strong run at one of these guys? Did it turn either of them off? That it seemed like they were maybe further along in the process, and then another surprise candidate came into play. All of that's still to be determined. And if you're the Lakers, it's a real pickle that you're in right now, because you're trying to thread the needle between finding the best coach for the end of LeBron James's career, provided you re-sign him, and for whatever comes next for you. And there aren't a ton of candidates that check both of those boxes. They thought Dan Hurley was one of them. And JJ Redick, you have a guy who has not been an NBA head coach. And James Borrego, you have a guy who was a pretty good NBA head coach on a very bad team, and it's projectionable. And no one really knows what he'll do with that kind of top line talent. He didn't have it in Charlotte. So I'm not quite sure where the Lakers turn now. And which is crazy, because as of Wednesday of last week, we all kind of felt like we knew they were going to turn. We thought they were going to turn to JJ Redick at the end of the NBA Finals. And we were all kind of hit across the face with a Louisville Slugger, and we're pushed onto a different path. Well, that path had a dead end. And so now what? Do you go back to does everything go back to the way it was? Do the Lakers have to totally regroup? Do they re-engage with some of the other people they talked to in early stages? Here's another part of this. JJ Redick hasn't had the kind of formal in-person interview that Dan Hurley had, or that James Borrego even. That hasn't happened yet. And, this talk about it being at the end of the NBA Finals, like, Boston's up 2-0. Like, the finals could be over soon. Like, that's a possibility too. So, and the draft is looming at the end of the month. Like, this is not great for the process, even though the Lakers had to have known that this was a possibility. When you kind of flirt with someone like Dan Hurley, a coach who's, has such a good other job, a coach who has such a good other life. But they're in a really strange position right now, and it's going to be fascinating to see what's next.